Hi guys, today we're going to rationalize denominators. This is one of our last topics, but just to recall what a rational number is, it's any number that can be expressed as a fraction. So any number that can be expressed as a fraction. So rationalizing the denominator is the process of getting rid of negative numbers, square roots, fractions. All of those things are bad form to have in a denominator. So you can't have no negatives. So we usually bump them up to the numerator, fractions or square roots in the denominator. So the procedure is to multiply the fraction by 1. So we're going to multiply the fraction. Today we're going to work on getting the radicals out of the denominator. So we're going to multiply the fraction by 1. It's going to be some form of a radical expression over a radical expression. They'll be matching. We want to get a perfect square in the denominator. And then you'll simplify if you need to. So our first mission is to get the square root of 5 out of the denominator. So in order to do that, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by a radical 5 over a radical 5. So 3 radical 5 over 5. Cannot be reduced, so that one is done. Example 2. It's up to you. I personally would reduce this expression first to make the math easier. So this is equal to 8 over the square root of 3. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by a radical 3 over a radical 3. So now my answer is going to become 8 radical 3 over 3. For example 3, do the same thing. Simplify them first. So reduce this. After you reduce it, what are you left with? So we have 4 over the square root of 6. We're going to multiply the top and the bottom by a radical 6 over a radical 6. So we're left with 4 radical 6 over 6. The 4 and the 6 can be reduced, so we have to go one more step. So you can either put that fraction in your calculator to reduce it, or you can just divide them both by 2. So we get 2 radical 6 over 3. For example 4, we're going to multiply by the top and the bottom. On this time, the top is a binomial, so we have to make sure we distribute this back to each piece. We're going to multiply the radical 3 times the radical 2, and we're going to get the square root of 6 minus radical 2 times radical 2 is 2 all over 2. So those were the easier, and then they get a little bit more complicated. So what's the first set of homework looks like? The second set's going to look like this. So now our mission is going to be to get the radical out of the denominator. So what our mission is going to be is multiply by the conjugate, and I'll explain what that means in a second, of the denominator. So conjugate pairs are when they look exactly the same. So it would be like A plus B. The conjugate pair would be A minus B. So think of factoring a difference of 2 power squares. This is going to take out the center term. So this is going to help us to get rid of the radical in the denominator. So the conjugate pair of 3 minus radical 5 is 3 plus radical 5. So that's what I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by. So the top becomes 3 plus radical 5. The bottom, so let's just double distribute this real quick. My pen is not working. That's cool. All right, so 3 times 3 is 9. We get plus 3 radical 5 minus 3 radical 5. That's going to happen every time. That's the mission. Radical 5 times radical 5 is negative 5. Anytime we multiply a radical by itself, it's just that number because the square root of 25 is 5. So the bottom becomes 9 minus 5, so it's over 4. You can type these into your calculator, the 3 minus radical 5 with the 3 plus radical 5, if you want to make it easier. The conjugate of 2 radical 2 minus 1 is going to be 2 radical 2 plus 1. So we're multiplying the top and the bottom by this. Again, you can type the bottom in your calculator. You just have to do it very carefully. So you're going to have to do 2 radical, it starts a parenthesis here, close it, minus 1, close, and then 2 radical, if it opens a parenthesis, close it, plus 1, close. So if you're going to type it in, that's what it needs to look like. Otherwise, I can multiply it in my head. So this is 6 radical 2 plus 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Radical 2 times radical 2 is 2, so it becomes 8 minus 1. 8 minus 1 is 7. So again, you can type it right into your calculator, or you can show the double distribute if you want. A little bit more complicated are these last two. I didn't give you any of this hard on the homework, but feel free to try it if you're up for the challenge. So this one, we're going to multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. So 2 plus radical 5 over 2 plus radical 5. You have to double distribute on the top. So I'll make the box muffin for you. So we have 3 plus radical 5, 2 plus radical 5. So 6 plus 2 radical 5 plus 3 radical 5 plus 5. So the top of this becomes 11 plus 5 radical 5. So that one you can't type into the calculator. So the numerator is 11 plus 5 radical 5. The denominator is 4 minus 1. It's a negative 1. It's bad form to keep the negative in the denominator. So just like you can't have a radical, you shouldn't have a negative. So we're going to bump it up to the top. So I'm dividing each of them by a negative 1. Negative 11 minus 5 radical 5. All right, last one. See if you can do this one. Multiply by the conjugate of the denominator. Your mission is to get this answer. 10 minus the square root of 2 all over 7. See if you can do it, please. When you're finished with that, if you want help getting that answer, let me know. I'll be happy to help you. And then you have a few problems below. Show your steps. So there's not that many of them. If you get stuck or have questions, please feel free to ask for help. Thank you so much and have an awesome day.